Hare Krishna. Thank you all for tolerating a few extra minutes while I was setting it up. We'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So from today, we will be revising Nectar of Instruction. Today we'll be revising Nectar of Instruction Overview, Preface, and text number 1. Before that, I will bring up on screen my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Das Adhikari, is visiting Toronto from Thursday, August 21st, Thursday, August 21st to Wednesday, August 27th. So I have on the screen the various events as well as service opportunities. Most of the events will be live on Facebook and or Zoom. So I will share links just before the event starts. Those of you who are in and around Toronto, take a snapshot of this, and specifically for services. On Thursday, August 21st is Vyasa Puja within the Disciples Sangha. So I'm trying to clarify whether you all will be able to attend or not. It should be, but I will clarify and inform as soon as I get information. So normally we do the Vyasa Puja to a picture of Guru Maharaj. This time the Vyasa Puja is directly to Guru Maharaj. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there is Sankirtan training. So even if you have attended the training before, you should try to attend. This time it's directly by Guru Maharaj. So obviously you will get a lot more learning from this. And Saturday also there is book distribution. So try to attend as many events as possible. And for services, there'll be services throughout the day. For those who are locally here in Toronto and around area, I will post messages in the services group closer to the events and as things get clearer. On the screen, I have scheduled until Sunday, 24th August only. Guru Maharaj will be here the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday till August 27th. But no events are scheduled at this point. Therefore, I have not included anything here right now. So take a snapshot of what you have on the screen and make an endeavor to attend as many events as you can. Questions, comments, realizations? Now, if any one of you would like to have a personal one-on-one meeting with Guru Maharaj, you can please let me know. Irrespective of the one-on-one meeting, all of you, those who are at least locally, should try to collectively meet with Guru Maharaj. Saturday is generally a very good time, or even Sunday, as long as all of you go together and you can explain what all spiritual activities you are doing, such as studying scriptures, japa. You have the japa group. You also study so many scriptures. You do devotional services together. You can explain and ask for some further spiritual guidance from him. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, so the next to next Sunday, which is 24th of August, we will not have a class because Guru Maharaj will be here. You have it on the Nectar of Instruction selection schedule, also the same points. All right, so we will start revising Nectar of Instruction, and we'll follow similar approach to what we have done for our Bhagavad Gita revision. The only change will be that first, for Nectar of Instruction, devotees will first do their respective presentations, and then we will read. So right now, today, Abhishek Prabhu is going to speak about Nectar of Instruction overview and preface, and then I will also present, and then we will read the preface. Then Kunal Prabhu will present text number 1. I will also present text number 1, and then we will take turns to read the text number 1. So Abhishek Prabhu has recorded his presentation. I want all of you to listen closely to his presentation and let me know what you hear. So I will play Abhishek Prabhu's Nectar of Instruction overview and preface presentation now.
Hare Krishna everyone. Seeking permissions from all devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, Sri Baldev and Sri Radha Krishna on this auspicious occasion of Balram Purnima to speak on Nectar of Instruction. In our study of religious scriptures, 4 books are identified as very important, which we should study first. Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. Bhagavad Gita and Ishopanishad describe that Lord Krishna is the highest principle, the goal of spiritual practice, and among all the paths, bhakti is the easiest process to reach that goal. Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion describe the practice part of this philosophy. How should we practice this path of bhakti? So Nectar of Instruction is a very important book for us, and especially for neophytes like me, to make this path of bhakti practical. This book is the Nectar of Instruction, the 11 verses of Nectar of Instruction. They are authored by Srila Rupa Goswami, and there is commentary by Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Rupa Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis who are all the foremost disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the task to these Goswamis to stay in Vrindavan and reveal the places of pastimes of Lord Krishna, establish deities and temples, explain devotional service and write scriptures based on authentic Vedic principles, so that people like us in future can benefit from these scriptures and understand and follow the principles of devotional life. Srila Rupa Goswami is the leader of the 6 Goswamis, and he was specifically blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to reveal the science of devotional service. Just like Sri Shikshashtakam is the highest ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, similarly Nectar of Instruction is the highest ecstasy of Srila Rupa Goswami, and it is a very important scripture for us, even though it just contains 11 verses. So, in the beginning of this overview, we see a very humble attitude of our Srila Prabhupada, that he gives the credit of everything he has done for us to Srila Rupa Goswami, saying that this movement is working under the direction of Srila Rupa Goswami. Then like in our classes, we also filled a sheet for describing all the essential points which are discussed in this book, and which I'll not go into detail, but it is a very nice sheet which we should always refer, so that we can always keep in mind what is the essence of Nectar of Instruction. But among all the principles, one of the most important and foremost principle is the point of sense and mind control. So those who control those who are able to control their mind and senses, they are called Goswamis. Go means senses and Swami means master, and that is becoming a Goswami or master of senses is very important for our spiritual path. Otherwise, our spiritual progress will be very difficult. So Nectar of Instruction puts specific stress on sense and mind control. In this preface, using this example, Srila Prabhupada explains the need for mind and sense control. And one very important point which is discussed is that our advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude. Like as we heard in a short clip, that attitude determines our altitude. So what is this attitude? This attitude is the attitude of mind and sense control, that we should aim to become a perfect Goswami. And the instructions of Nectar of Instruction, by perfectly following them, even very beginner devotees like me, they can become perfect Goswamis. So this book is specifically written for neophytes, and that is why it is very important for us. The preface also describes that we should follow these principles with utmost discipline and determination. And by following this path, we can make our life successful. thank you for giving me an opportunity to present. If there are any shortcomings, please forgive me and correct me. Hare Krishna.
All right. Questions, comments, realizations. What did you hear?
A very nice overview, Hare Krishna. Very nice overview of the scriptures. What are the importance, why we should learn, and what we have to do to control our senses, mind. Why is it important? Very well presented.
Yeah, very good. All right. Abhishek Prabhu has already done a spectacular job of presenting the overview. My overview will largely be a repeat of what he said, but I will still do since we agreed upon. So let me do quick overview of Nectar of Instruction. Srila Prabhupada has explained the importance of the 4 books on our bhakti path: Bhagavad Gita, Sheshopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, and Nectar of Devotion. Bhagavad Gita and Sheshopanishad establish Bhagwan, Lord Shri Krishna, is the highest sadhya. Sadhya means or goal, where I have to go to. And from the various processes, means various paths to reach the goal, bhakti is the highest sadhana. Sadhana means process. Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion describe how bhakti is to be practiced. Philosophical understanding is through Bhagavad Gita and Sheshopanishad, and practical application of that philosophy is through Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Instruction elaborates processes of bhakti and enables us to apply these principles in our day-to-day life. Nectar of Instruction has 7 themes. First is mind and sense control, which is described in the first 3 texts. Next theme is attitude. In our spiritual life, our attitude towards devotees and towards the process matters. Third theme is ISKCON's purpose. That how ISKCON is fulfilling the purpose of providing sadhu sangha. Basically, ISKCON is a facility to apply Nectar of Instruction. Fourth is Guru and disciple and the relationship between them. Fifth is Sadhu Sangha, very important principle of Nectar of Instruction, which is association of devotees. How we should and how we should not associate with devotees. Sixth theme is devotees, as hierarchy of devotees and kinds of devotees. That how do we know the kinds of devotees, their behavior and their qualifications. Basically talks about Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttamadhikari levels. And the 7th theme is Bhakti, the stages and development of Bhakti. The various stages of Bhakti are described and a gradual development of Bhakti. So there are 9 processes of devotional services, means 9 processes of Bhakti, which are described in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. The verse starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So these are the 9 processes of devotional service. And then in Nectar of Instruction, it describes the 9 stages of bhakti. So these 2 are different. So 9 processes, which starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. These are processes. While in Nectar of Instruction, it describes the 9 stages of bhakti, from Shraddha all the way to Prema. So first stage is Shraddha, our preliminary inquisitive attitude. We inquire about Hare Krishna, that what is the meaning and purpose of life. And Srila Prabhupada says that this is positive curiosity. Shraddha has to be expressed through action. And this is initial stage. Therefore, we start by inquiring. Second stage is Sadhu Sangha. So the first stage, Shraddha, is described in text number 1, 2, and 3. The second stage, Sadhu Sangha, is described in text number 4, 5, and 6. In association of devotees, we learn to practice devotional service. Sadhu Sangha is a very elaborate aspect of Nectar of Instruction. And this means that like we are going to a doctor. Text number 7, the title is Chanting of the Holy Name is the Essence, covers the next 3 stages of stage number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Stage number 3 is Bhajana Kriya, means practice of devotional service. So Bhajana Kriya is like you taking the spiritual treatment. 4 stages, Anartha Nivritti. So next stage after taking the spiritual treatment is that we start getting cured. Artha means something that has meaning. And anartha means that which has no meaning, which is undesirable. And nivritti means to retire. So sensual desires of lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion have no meaning, but we assume they have meaning. So anartha nivritti means stopping the misconceptions of giving meaning to that which has no meaning. Fifth stage is nishtha. Nishtha means strong faith. When misconceptions retire, our faith increases. We get cured from the treatment, we feel better, we see treatment works, and we want to become fully healthy. So initial Shraddha can be shaken and or uprooted, while Nishtha means strong faith that cannot be shaken, like a deeply rooted banyan tree. 6 stages, Ruchi. Ruchi is taste. As you become cured, you become spiritually healthy. You develop taste for Krishna consciousness. Right now, I have taste for material or sensual things, but I have to develop taste for Krishna and service for Krishna. I may feel glimpses of this taste, but Ruchi is deeper taste. 7th stage is Asakti. One goes deeper and gets attached. When we experience the joy or taste of devotion, then we become attached to devotion and to Krishna. A negative example to explain asakti or attachment is how a drug addict is attached to the drugs or to drinking. He cannot live without it. Although it's a negative example, just trying to explain the level of attachment. The positive attachment to Krishna and to service to Krishna is asakti. 8th stage is bhava, spiritual emotion. Bhava is preliminary stage to prema stage. And prema stage is full development of love for Krishna. Example, a small ray of light coming through a small hole or through an edge of a curtain in a room is like bhava, while the full sun is the prema stage. The 9 stage is prema. Prema bhakti is comprehensive, all-consuming love for Krishna, and this fully floods our heart. that we feel there is no need for worldly attraction. Devotees in Vrindavan and in spiritual world live this life of prema bhakti. And this is our ultimate goal. Of course, our primary goal is to come to bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti will follow naturally. Question right now here is, how do we come to the stage of prema? From our initial Shraddha stage, the answer is, it is by steady practice of devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that Bhakti Lata Bij is a creeper given by Guru, is to be protected in two ways. Build a fence so that no predators come in to damage or destroy. Therefore, you follow the regulative principles. And the Bhakti Lata Bij has to be watered so that it grows and it gives the fruit of love, means the prema of God. Therefore, continue chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And this is what Nectar of Instruction talks about. Therefore, it is a very important book which will guide us on the path of devotion. In the preface, Srila Prabhupada starts by explaining that Krishna conscious movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Now, who is Srila Rupa Goswami? The Gaudiya Vaishnavas are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The 6 Goswamis are direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Rupa Goswami is a leader of the 6 Goswamis. Srila Rupa Goswami gave us nectar of instruction and nectar of devotion. Just as Sikshastakam is the highest ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, similarly nectar of instruction is the highest ecstasy of Srila Rupa Goswami. We are all Rupanugas. Rupanuga means follower of Srila Rupa Goswami. To understand the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to follow in the footsteps of 6 Goswamis. Srila Rupa Goswami gave us nectar of instruction to guide our daily activities so that we can become Goswamis. Now, Srila Prabhupada starts with the statement that Krishna consciousness is conducted under the supervision of Rupa Goswami. This is Srila Prabhupada's profound sense of humility and connectivity with previous acharyas and parampara. Srila Prabhupada does not say this movement is under his supervision. Even when Srila Prabhupada started ISKCON single-handedly. This is the humility of Srila Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 4 missions to his associates, the Goswamis. He took them to Vrindavan, and the 4 missions are: first, build temples to glorify Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Second, rediscover lost places of pastimes of Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Third, write literatures establishing supremacy of devotional service as ultimate teaching of Vedic literature. And fourth is exemplify and teach the practice of pure devotional service. In the preface, the need for self-control is emphasized. Spiritual life requires self-control. Without self-control, there cannot be steady practice of spiritual life. Body and soul are opposite to each other. Spiritual life means to regain spiritual consciousness, means to give up bodily consciousness. Bodily consciousness is caused by my uncontrolled mind and senses that I want this, I want that. As soon as sense objects come in front of me, they cause forgetfulness of my spiritual identity. As long as we are controlled by senses, soul's consciousness becomes riveted to the body and desires. Therefore, we need to have regular sadhana. And another important point explained in the preface is about attitude. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. attitude determines our altitude. What is the attitude meaning here? Is it positive attitude, or is it thinking that we will be able to achieve whatever we desire? Srila Prabhupada has a specific context of attitude. And the answer is, Srila Prabhupada is talking about sense and mind control. Sense and mind control may seem very difficult task, but if a devotee is determined that I want mind and sense control, then that practice will eventually lead to mind and sense control. That's a quick overview of instruction and preface. Questions, comments, realizations before we start reading?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Archana.
You said attitude help us to control our senses. Can you give some example on it, Prabhuji?
So, somebody may be following the regulative principles for the sake of following, and simultaneously they go to places of storm, just as, say, going to a bar or sports bar and mingling with materialistic people. So this is not the right attitude. That on one side we are trying to practice devotional service, but on the other side we are trying to have our feet in two places. So this is like punching holes in a boat. So you are on the boat of Krishna consciousness, and you are punching holes in the boat. Well, soon the boat will sink. So we need to have proper attitude for mind and sense control. Means we avoid places that we know are going to cause us agitation, are going to agitate our senses. So avoid those. And same applies at offices also, that end of the day, in most offices, colleagues go for, say, for a drink or whatever. And I've given the example that at my workplace, the colleagues will post a message, oh, today we are going after work to so-and-so bar or whatever. Please let me know who can join. And another colleague will generally always message that I will come as long as we have gossip. So we have discussed this in Nectar of Instruction text number 2, the 6 items that are harmful for bhakti. One is prajalpa. So I'm just giving few examples that if you want to have proper attitude, then avoid the 6 items that are described in text number 2, Nectar of Instruction, as well as follow the 6 items in Nectar of Instruction text number 3, which are favorable for bhakti. Archana, does that help you?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribo.
Vimal Prabhu, we could not hear you. Your voice is still very difficult.
You said we all or Rupa Gauriya. What was that?
Rupa Nugas.
Rupa Nugas.
Followers of Rupa Goswami is known as Rupa Nuga. So we are all Rupa Nugas.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. So let's start reading Nectar of Instruction preface. So I request all of you to please read at a faster pace so that we can complete all our reading. Archana will read preface paragraph number 1. And everybody read what you are assigned to rather than jumping to the next paragraph. So paragraph number 1.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Preface. Nectar of Instruction, Preface. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnava or a Bengali Vaishnava are mostly follow of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or whom the six Goswami of Vrindavan are direct disciple. Therefore, Srila Narottama Dasa Thakur has sung. So, whole paragraph, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Okay. Rupa Ragamata Pada Ha Ibe Akuti Kabe Hama Pujabe Ye Yugala Priti. When I'm eager to understand the literature given by the Goswami, then I shall be able to understand transcendental loving affair of Radha and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of a Lord Krishna are the pastime of congenial love and love with the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of six Goswami, Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta, Raghunathana, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunatha. Hare Krishna.
Divya will read the next paragraph, it starts Sri Rupa Goswami.
Hare Krishna. Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis, and to guide our activities, he gave us this Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction, to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Sikshashtaka, Rupa Goswami gave us Upadeshamrita so that we may become pure Vaishnavas.
Nitya will read the next paragraph. In all spiritual affairs.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness of Sattva-guna by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami, and then everything concerning how to make further progress will be clear.
Chandran Prabhu will read the last paragraph. It starts advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. A follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavana, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses, and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in the life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions from as Upadesamta, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books, such as Bhakti, Rasamaya Sindhu, Vidagda Madhava, and Lalita Madhava, but Upadesamrita constitutes the first instructions of neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations for Nectar of Instruction Overview and Preface? All right. Now Kunal Prabhu will present Nectar of Instruction text number 1, and then I will present text number 1, and then we will read text number 1.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, seeking permissions from Srila Rupa Goswami, the Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, and all the assembled devotees. I mean, I'm kind of overwhelmed because this is a very heavy loaded verse. so please forgive me because I am also trying to learn from senior Vaishnavas. So please forgive me if I misspeak on something. So in this text, one Srila Rupa Goswami says, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udaro Pata Vegam, Etan Vegan Yo Viseta Dhira, Sarvam Apinam Prithvim Sasisyat, which translates to a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Now, Srila Prabhupada has given a very nice purport to explain this heavily loaded verse. So the purport begins by referencing a discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami about why people undergo atonement without controlling their senses. Now, this is compared to an elephant which bathes and then covers itself with dirt. This is also likened to spiritual practitioners who commit forbidden acts by chanting the holy names, or Christians who confess their sins weekly and then return to sinful activities. The purport emphasizes the true atonement is awakening of one's dormant Krishna consciousness, which is achieved through a life of austerity, tapasya. The easiest method to achieve Krishna consciousness is to associate with a pure devotee and follow the 4 regulative principles, which include refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. The urge to speak is controlled by glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna instead of engaging in useless talk. The mind's agitation is controlled by fixing it on Krishna, as his presence eliminates the influence of Maya. Anger, in the purport, it says that it should not be stopped but applied rightly, such as against those who blaspheme the devotees of the Lord. The urges of the tongue, belly are controlled by eating only prasad, which is food offered to Krishna and not for sense gratification. The urges of the genitals are to be used only for begetting Krishna conscious children within a sanctioned marriage. A person who controls these 6 urges is called a Goswami, master of the senses, while a servant of the senses is called Godas. So, just highlighting my understanding of this verse, in this verse, like Srila Rupa Goswami is not asking us to suppress these urges. Instead, we are being asked to regulate the urges and dovetail them to Krishna consciousness, which is kind of similar to what Sri Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita 6.17, where he says that yuktahara virasya yukta chetasya karmasu yukta swapna avabodhasya yogo bhavati duktaha, which translates to he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And also these qualities are kind of useful in the material life as well, just to have a good character. So yeah, I think this is a very heavy loaded verse. So I tried my best. Thank you for the opportunity, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
All right. Any questions, comments, realizations for Kunal Prabhu? All right. Let me also present Nectar of Instruction text 1. Kunal Prabhu rightly pointed out that this, of course, is a heavy verse. So obviously, text number 1 is a key memorization text. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udara upastha vegam etan vegam yo visheta dhira sarvam apimam prithvim sasishyat. So text number 1 is about controlling the 6 bodily urges of speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. Person who tolerates these 6 urges, such a person is qualified to become a guru. Controlling the senses is a qualification to become a guru. This text has 4 key points described. First is guru's qualification. Second is atonement. Third is the urges, the 6 urges. And then Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur have provided purports for these. And the fourth point is that we can serve only one master, either the senses or Krishna. There is no third choice. Text number 1 focuses on body. Controlling urges applies to all. The difference between desire and urge is that urge is urgent, which makes us to act immediately, which demands that it can be fulfilled at once. Speedy demand has to be fulfilled. Desire is something we may want to do it, but it's not right now. Example, I want to go to Himalayas or Niagara Falls or such places of visits. They are idle desires. At some point I will do it. They are not right now. Nectar of instruction is for a disciple. So why text number 1 is starting with qualification of a guru? The answer is, first, the seeker or the disciple has to find a guru. Therefore, he should know the qualifications of a guru and able to judge a guru. The guru's regulative qualifications are ability to control senses and conquer the mind, plus the positive qualifications of being attached to Krishna. And the second reason is that seeker needs to become a seer. Hence, he needs to know the qualifications he needs to acquire. Detachment from world and capability to control the urges of the body and mind, which makes us attached to the world, are important qualifications of a bhakta. The next point about atonement. If one has uncontrolled senses, does sinful activities, some may say then, okay, now go and do atonement. Now, atonement does not work because one does not lose the sinful mentality, because one still thinks, I am independent of God. One who knows I am soul but still does not connect with God to get higher taste. Rather, one who actually knows that he is a soul, then he will obviously connect with God to get higher taste. An example or analogy is given to describe that why atonement does not work, is that criminals come out of jail and commit the same sin again. Well, then what was the point of going to jail? So now what is the solution if atonement does not work? And the solution is, real atonement is awakening of the dormant Krishna consciousness. Therefore, atonement is the first point discussed. Devotee has to change the attitude first. The solution is to practice devotional service. Real atonement is the awakening of the dormant Krishna consciousness. The solution is devotional service. Without reviving our original pure nature, we simply would jump from one impurity to another impurity. When we return to our natural state of serving Krishna, then we actually become purified. Then we'll be able to control senses and lose our sinful mentality. This is real atonement. Next, I will briefly describe the 6 urges. First is Vachovegam, the urge to speak. Trying to control the senses is nearly impossible. The solution is to rise to higher level of taste. Karmis and Gyanis speaking things which are not connected with Krishna is like a toad inviting a snake. Such prajalpa or chit-chat or gossip is undesirable because we get absorbed in the gossip and we waste so much time. So what's the solution? Silence is not the solution. Rather, Krishna Katha is the solution. We cannot stay silent for very long. If we don't dovetail the natural urge, then we feel suppressed. If we suppress for too long, it expresses itself in ugly ways. Therefore, spiritualize our urge to speak by speaking about Krishna. And this purifies us as well as purifies one who hears Krishna Katha. The same tongue that is poisonous and attracts death can be used to spread Krishna's name and glory and attract Krishna. Krishna is pleased that devotee is talking about me, sharing my message. This Krishna has said in 18.68-69 that somebody who shares the signs of God, of Krishna, is very dear to Krishna, and pure devotional service is guaranteed. The very thing that causes bondage, means the tongue that causes bondage, can liberate us by using the tongue in Krishna Katha. Second is manasa or vegam, means the urge of mind. Mind is more active than the senses. One thought after another, mind runs faster than the speed of light. Mind cannot be inactive because mind's nature is to be active, not just active, hyperactive. Mind has to think about something. Thinking cannot be stopped. You cannot freeze the mind. Best thing to do for the mind is to give it a safe playing activity of Krishna consciousness. Just as a child cannot be silent or inactive, and the child may start playing with some danger. Therefore, give the child a toy to keep it occupied. Similarly, engage the mind in Krishna conscious activities. Chanting, meditating on lotus feet of Krishna, these are all serving Krishna. Now, how to direct mind to Krishna? Answer is each of us have to find out for ourselves what works for us. Some may find by studying scriptures, understanding philosophy, my mind becomes steady and fixed. Some may find by worshipping Gopinath, personal puja, etc. Gives me a lot of sense. So find what works for you, because one solution does not fit everyone. Third is Krodha Vegam, the urge for anger. Srila Prabhupada says anger cannot be stopped. Solution is to use anger against blasphemers of Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And in scriptures, there are only about 3 or some examples about use of anger. One is Jagai Madai, being chastised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Arjuna becoming angry and fighting Kurukshetra war. And Hanuman becoming angry on Ravan. So these are the only 3 examples you can find in scriptures, meaning scriptures are telling us to stay away from anger. Committing offenses against devotees in anger can be very dangerous. So anger can be expressed in devotional service, but in a regulated way. Still, be very careful. And don't try to say, I will use anger in Krishna's service, because there's a very fine line. Whether you are using anger in Krishna's service or anger is using you in Maya's service. So for anger, best is not to express the anger. Rather, highlight the issue to a senior devotee. And further, to use anger against blasphemers does not mean we start speaking inappropriate language. No. The proper use of anger against blasphemers is to speak philosophically in a controlled manner so that the blasphemers can come closer to Krishna. Not that they go far away altogether. Now, important point about anger is not to find ways to use anger. Rather, should focus on how to control anger, because there's a very fine line. Whether anger is using me in Maya's service or whether I am using anger in Krishna's service. Now, how do you know the difference? Now, first is motivation. And second is the effect of your anger on the other person. And effect depends on the relationship that you have and the situation in which you are using anger. So first, motivation, that when something goes wrong, our anger is not because Krishna's service got affected. Rather, our anger is generally that my good name is spoiled. So if our motivation is not pure, anger can be very dangerous. Therefore, avoid anger. And even if motivation is pure, the relationship is important, because other person may not be able to take the anger. The other person's spiritual life may be shattered because of my anger. Therefore, we should be very careful on not using anger. Now, taking a firm stand, speaking assertively is not becoming angry. When you take a firm stand, we are in control. When you become angry, anger is in control. This is how you understand the difference. When anger is in control, we lose awareness of what we are speaking. Therefore, we blast out. Conclusion is, if we lose control, means we are not using anger in Krishna's service, but anger is using me in Maya's service. Hence, a general principle for devotees should be to not become angry. Next is Jiva Vegam, the urge of the tongue, is to eat. Our tongue is the most voracious part of our body. To control the senses, start by controlling the tongue. Jiva Vegam refers to taste. We want to eat a lot of variety. And Udara Vegam refers to quantity, that eating more than what body needs. People are controlled by their tongue and they are forced to eat in karmi shops. The solution is Krishna Prasad. Take as Krishna's mercy and take at scheduled times. Ability to diet is not spiritual. Ability to diet is valuable and essential for steady spiritual advancement, but on itself, dieting is not spiritual. Prasad is purifying, but to become attached to always eating more and opulent prasad, that can also be entangling. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, don't eat opulent prasad and don't dress richly. Means, don't eat opulent prasad on a regular basis. But it's okay to have opulent prasad on special occasions when you have a feast, etc. Now, simultaneously, we should not judge a devotee on how much prasad he's taking, because everyone is different on what is appropriate quantity. Udaravekam does not mean sticking to a fixed quantity, but what is required, and it may vary by devotee to devotee. Jiva Vegam, you have to have three controls: regulation of variety, regulation of quantity, and regulation of frequency. And next is Upastha Vegam, means the control of genitals, the use of genitals. Vedic scriptures do not reject sex because new life is coming into world. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am sex life. That is not contrary to religious principles. So focus is to maintain spiritual vision and doing things for the purpose for which they are meant. It means this activity has a purpose. Therefore, act according to that purpose. Means have kids only if you are able to make the kids as Krishna conscious kids. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur groups the Vegam items differently. He groups that first is speech, second is mind. Mind includes anger. And the third is body. Under body, he has tongue, belly, and genitals, because the tongue, belly, and genitals are connected in a straight line in a body. So Vacho Vegam, he says the Prajalpa of Karmis, Gyanis, and Karmakandis, that all these magazines, newspapers, discussion channels on social media, etc., are all leading to Prajalpa because they are based on mundane talk. Whether it be WhatsApp or whatever be the social media platform you use. So generally, worldly news is not really new. News means it's the same thing happening to new people. Example, there's some disaster at one place and next day there is similar disaster in a different place. Now, devotees don't have to ignore worldly things. Devotees should be aware of basic things, but beyond that, should be aware of our true self. Meaning, be aware of our soul, real life with Krishna, associate with devotees and read scriptures. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Now, all the information gathered in the material world is first information overload and second is useless. Now, because such information has no function, therefore, media then creates a function for such useless information by creating quiz on historical sports data or quiz on film stars' life and family. All these have no meaning. Solution is Krishna Katha. If one has information seeking mentality, then seek in scriptures. Scriptural information is meant to transform and seek and apply scriptural guidance to become better human and better devotees. Scriptural information is like doctor's prescription, which is not just for information, rather is to apply so that you can get cured. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes about Manasavekam, the urge of mind. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati clarifies the urges of mind in two ways. That first is unrestricted attachment and second is anger due to frustration. Now, Krodha is part of Manasavekam. Now, you can analyze your anger from past. You'll be able to see that it was due to some frustration, due to unrestricted attachment, and expectation is too high, resulting in frustration and anger. To control anger, we should not get angry, plus decrease our expectation. Jiva, Udara, Upastha, Vegam means the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that these three items, tongue, belly, and genitals, are in one line physically in our body, means there is a connection between them. The tongue, those who control the tongue, find that other senses come under control easier and without much difficulty because it spreads the control all over the body. The last point is that we can only serve one master, either the senses or Krishna, not both. So each one of us have to decide whether I will be servant of body or master of body. Servant of body means we pander to the body's demands. Master of body means we use the body for its purpose. So I'm master of body, but I'm still servant of Krishna. The default setting stored in our mind is like the default setting you get on a new device. The default setting in the mind is to have the downward pull towards sense and sense objects. So just as you get a new device as an annoying ringtone, well, it will keep ringing if you don't change it. You have to consciously change the default ringtone. Similarly, giving into mind and senses has been the default option we have chosen for a very long time. So devotee has to take care of his body so that we can serve Krishna properly. But devotee does not need to succumb to bodily desires. And Srila Prabhupada's conclusion is, and the essential theme of Nectar of Instruction is that we can serve only one master, either the senses or Krishna. There is no third choice. Godas means servant of senses, and Goswami means master of senses. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30 explains about chewing the chew. That person again engages in the same sense gratification again and again and does not learn anything about higher taste. By doing the same sense gratification, not utilizing the human life for experiencing the higher taste, which is not possible in other forms, is a waste of human form of life. We all have attachments. So what do we do? What's the solution? Even if material attachments are too strong, still continue devotional service, because only by devotional service we will gain higher taste, by which means by the higher taste, we will be able to give up the lower taste of material attachments. That's a quick summary of, I won't say quick, it's a little longer summary of Nectar of Instruction text number 1. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So we will now start reading text number 1. Mayank Prabhu will start. So again, follow the paragraphs that I am assigning you to read, and please read at a faster pace so we can end at time. Mayank Prabhu will try to recite the Sanskrit and read the translation, plus read paragraphs number 1, 2, and 3. These 3 paragraphs are on atonement. So you can, reciting in Sanskrit is not mandatory. You can try if you so prefer.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, for text number 1, Sanskrit, right?
Yeah, text number 1, Sanskrit, then translation, then purport, paragraph number 1, 2, and 3, which are on atonement.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Sanskrit, I'll try. I'll like.
You can skip. It's not
Yeah.
bad. You can skip.
I'll just try it out. Vako Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jiva Vegam Udaro Pasta Vegam atam vegam yo visahita dhire sarvam apimam prithvim siya. Siya. Sorry if I
That's okay.
mispronounced it.
Very good. That's okay. Good attempt.
A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Sukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see a thief arrested by the police, yet he continues to steal. Experience is gathered by hearing and seeing. One who is less intelligent gathers experience by seeing, and one who is more intelligent gathers experience by hearing. When an intelligent person hears from the law books and sastras or scriptures that stealing is not good and hears that a thief is punished when arrested, he refrains from theft. A less intelligent person may first have to be arrested and punished for stealing to learn to stop stealing. However, a rascal, a foolish man, may have the experience of both hearing and seeing and may even be punished, but still he continues to steal. Even if such a person atones and is punished by the government, he will again commit theft as soon as he comes out of jail. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement? Thus Parikshit Maharaj inquired. He compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes onto the bank, it throws dirt all over its body. What then is the value of its bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things, thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offense is called Namno Baladhyasya Hi Papa Buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Similarly, certain Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that confessing their sins before a priest and performing some penance will revive them from the result of their weekly sins. As soon as Saturday is over and Sunday comes, they again begin their sinful activities, expecting to be forgiven the next Saturday. This kind of prashchita or atonement is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. Sukadeva Goswami, equally intelligent as befitting the spiritual master of Maharaja Parikshit, answered the king and confirmed that his statement concerning atonement was correct. A sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. Thus, real prashchita atonement is the awakening of a dormant Krishna consciousness. Real atonement involves coming to real knowledge, and for this, there is a standard process. When one follows a regulated hygienic process, he does not fall sick. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is described as tapasya. One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge or Krishna consciousness by practicing austerity and celibacy, by controlling the mind, by controlling the senses, by giving up one's possessions in charity, by being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean, and by practicing yoga sanas. However, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. First, one must control
All
his
right, hold
speaking
on,
power.
Raghu.
Sorry.
Everybody, please follow the paragraphs that are assigned to you. All right, Priyanka will read. So paragraph number 4, which starts, first one must control the speaking power. So this is on Vacho Vekam. And plus Priyanka will also read paragraph number 5, which starts the restless or fickleness of the mind, which is on Manasa Vekam.
Hare Krishna. First, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has a power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of mauna, as Mayavadi philosophers think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. The meaning of controlled speech conveyed by Srila Rupa Goswami advocates the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge to speak. The restlessness or fickleness of the mind, Manovega, is controlled when one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.31 says, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haindikar, Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the mind being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material thoughts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Vimal Prabhu will read the next paragraph, number 6, which start, similarly, anger can be controlled. And this is on Krodha Vekam.
Hare Krishna. Similarly, anger can be controlled. We cannot stop anger altogether, but if we simply become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or the devotee of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become angry with the merchant brother Jagai and Madai, who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In the Shikashta, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Tarand api sunisam tarur api shahi nunna. One should be humble. One should be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. One may then ask why the Lord exhibit his anger. The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotees is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offender. Krodha, anger cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. It was in anger that Hanuman sets fire to Lanka, but he is worshipped as the greatest devotee of Lord Ramachandra. This means that he realized his anger in the right way. Arjuna served as another example. He was not willing to fight, but Krishna incited his anger. You must fight. To fight without anger is not possible. Anger is controlled, however, when utilized in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Shivangi will read a lot of paragraphs now. First, Shivangi will read paragraph number 7, which starts, as for the urges of the tongue. So this is on Jiva Vegam. And then the next two paragraphs, the paragraph 8 starts in a similar manner, the urges of genitals. This is on Udara Upastha Vegam. Shivangi, if you can first read these two paragraphs first, and then I will explain more.
Hare Krishna. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience the tongue in charitable issue. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasada. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasada. That is the way to control the urge of the tongue. One should take prasada at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or street food shops in order to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasada, the urges of the belly and tongue can be controlled. In a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the act and thoughts can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. Genitals should be used to beget the Krishna consciousness, otherwise they should not be used. The Krishna consciousness movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for the begetting of Krishna conscious children. As soon as the children are looking for enough, they are sent to a Gurukula school where they are trained to become fully Krishna conscious devotees. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
That one more small paragraph.
When one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna conscious control, he can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master.
Okay, very good. Now, up to here are Srila Prabhupada's purports on the various points. The next paragraph, number 9, which starts in his Anuvriti explanation of Upadeshamrit. From this paragraph, so this is paragraph number 9, 10, 11, and 12, the paragraph in the physical book, it runs up to the top of page number 13. All these are purports by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Shivangi can continue to read. It's 3 pages, but Shivangi can read it faster, therefore it's assigned to her. So read from this paragraph in his Anuvriti explanation up to the top of page number 13, where the paragraph states the conclusion is stop before that paragraph starts.
Okay. In his Anuvriti explanation of Upadeshamrita, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates 3 kinds of urges: the urge to speak, the urge or demands of the mind, and the demands of the body. When a living entity falls victim to these 3 types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting these 3 demands, or urges, is called tapasya, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we refer to the urge to speak, we refer to useless talking, such as that of the impersonal Mayavadi philosophers or persons engaged in creative activities, technically called karma kanda, or of materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. All such talks and literatures are practical exhibitions of the urge to speak. Many people are talking nonsensically and writing volumes of useless books, and all this is a result of the urge to speak. To counteract this tendency, we have to divert our technique to a subject of Krishna. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.10 to 11. Those words which do not describe the views of the God, who alone satisfy the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by thinking persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. These the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode. They do not derive any pleasure there. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of being, their informal qualities, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited supreme life, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, done, and accepted by purified men who are trying to be honest.
Continue.
The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. As for the agitations that are keeping in mind, they are divided into two divisions. The first is called Aviroda Piti, or unrestricted attachment, and the other is called Viroda Yukta Krodha, anger arising from frustration. Adherents to the philosophy of the Mayavadis believe in the fugitive desires of the form of body and beliefs in plans based on materialistic desires are called Aviroda Piti. Jainis, Kamis, and materialistic onlookers genuinely attract attention at conditional souls, but when the materialists cannot fulfill their plans and when their devices are frustrated through commodity, frustration of material desires produces anger. Similarly, the demands of the body can be divided into three categories: demands of town, the body, and genitals. When we observe that these three senses are physically situated in a straight line, as far as the body is concerned, and that the body demands the change of the town. If one can restrain the demands of the town by limiting its activities to the eating of the father, the urges of the belly and the genitals can be automatically controlled. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda says, Sarira Vityaja, Jadinse Pavika, Jive Piya Vishi Sakari, Tara Mati Jivati, Dobamaya Sujamati, Tati Jeta Patini Sansari, Krishna Baldha Jaya Maya, Tari Padi Jiva Jaya, Swaprasad Anya Jilata, Te Anamita Power, Radha Krishna Pinakai, Premi Bhakta Chaitanya Nitai. My heart is material body with a lump of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading to death. Somehow or other, we have fallen into the ocean of material enjoyment, and all of the senses, the tongue is the most malicious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world, but you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us. We have sent this nice prasada to help us conquer the tongue. Therefore, let us take this prasada to our full satisfaction and glorify their lordships, Shri Radha and Krishna, and in love God with the help of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. There are 6 kinds of rasa, tastes, and if one is agitated, any one of them, he becomes controlled by the urges of the tongue. Some people are attracted to the eating of meat, fish, crabs, eggs, and other things produced by semen and blood and eating in the form of dead bodies. Others are attracted by eating vegetables, peoples, spinach, or milk products, but all feel satisfaction with the tongue's demands. Such eating becomes gratification, including the use of extra quantities of spices like chili and tamarind, is to be given up by Krishna conscious persons. The use of pan, haritaki, fruit nuts, various spicy seeds in palm making, tobacco, LSD, marijuana, opium, liquor, coffee, and tea is indulged in to purify illicit demands. If we can practice accepting only remnants of food offered to Krishna, it is possible to get free from Maya victimization. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk products, and water are proper foods to offer to the Lord, as our Krishna himself prescribes. However, one accepts this item only because of its palatable taste, and that is too much, but also falls prey to trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes, even while eating prasada. If we offer palatable dishes to deity with the intention of eating such nice food, we are involved in trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. If we accept the invitation of a rich man with the idea of receiving palatable food, we are also trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. In Chaitanya Charitamrita and Tirumala 6.227, it is stated, that person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate and who is always attached to the desire of his stomach and genitals is unable to obtain Krishna. As stated before, the tongue, belly, and genitals are all situated in a straight line and they fall in the same category. Here Chaitanya himself, Bala na Kalbi, another Bala na Kadibi. Do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious foodstuffs. Chaitanya Charitamrita and 6.236. Those with such diseases of the stomach must be unable to control the urges of the belly, at least according to this analysis. When we desire to do the necessary, we automatically create many inconveniences in this life. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadasi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the belly. The genitals of the there are two, proper and improper, or legal and illicit. When a man is properly mature, he can marry according to the and regulations of the Shastra and use his genitals for getting nice children. That is legal and religious. Otherwise, he may adopt many artificial means to satisfy the demand of the genitals and he may not use any restraint. When one indulges in illicit sex life, as defined by the Shastra, whether by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually using it and by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in a scientific manner. These instructions apply not only to these soldiers, but also to charities that also are influenced for their discipline. In his book, Prema Bhagavata, Bhakti Sri Jagadananda My dear brother, you are living in this life and should not listen to just but ordinary very things. I could be suffered at every day and you need others. I not compare human, even in truth. You have accepted the non-child life, which is how capability to associate with learning. If you wish to associate with children in happiness, you must always remember the incident with the Haridasa and not your protected by the Do not eat luxurious doctors or not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve the objects Vishnu Radha Krishna in your magic heart. The
All right,
conclusion
very
is-
good. The last paragraph number 13 till end. Kunal Prabhu will read. The paragraph starts. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the go or senses. When one accepts the renounced order of life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is the master of his family, community, or society. He must be master of his senses. Unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called Goswami, but Godas, servant of the senses. Following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, the Go-Tasas engage in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. They have no engagement. They have no other engagement. Prahlad Maharaj has thus further described the Godas as Ananta Go, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. An Ananta Go cannot become servant of Krishna. I'll skip the verse, Prabhuji. The verse translates to, for those who have decided to continue their existence in the material world for gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engaged in what is called chewing of the chewed. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? I want to hear everybody's experience on this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, very eye-opening. It's like you refresh our mind. I have to read it again and again and again.
Very good. That's the purpose. That I don't know if some of you found some statements saying, "Oh, I never remember reading this statement before." Anybody found some statements like these?
Yes, Prabhu, that was the reason I was not confident to deliver.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. So that's the purpose, that at least I have Kalyug memory, which is very short. Therefore, I keep forgetting. And therefore, I need to remind myself these scriptural instructions again and again and again and again and again and again. All right. Archana, I have to say something.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, I have a question. In a Jiva Vegam, when it talk about the tongue taste, in the temple, there is always like opulences prasad, Prabhuji. And the sannyasi who live there, they always eating the opulences prasad.